Hello everyone, my name is Matt, also known as the Survivor Guy, and this is Survivor Tribal Council. Alright, so we are on our way to the airport. We got a 3-hour drive to the airport, then we have a 4-hour flight to Dallas, followed by a 13-hour flight to Fiji, so pretty big travel day. I guess I'll see you all in about 20 hours. Alright, so after a 3-hour car ride, a 4-hour plane ride, a 1.5-hour layover, followed by a 12-hour plane ride, a 3-hour wait for an 1.5-hour boat, and then approximately 4 hours waiting to get into our room, we are finally in our room on Mana Island. So for those of you that may not know, Mana Island is the island on Survivor where all of the challenges are filmed. That is also where Tribal Council is, and where the Survivor Sanctuary, where good things happen, is located. And Mana Island Resort, which is the resort that we are staying at, is the resort where the crew of Survivor stays while they are filming. So when we were actually booking this, from April to July, it was completely blacked out. You couldn't stay here because the crew of Survivor was taking up the entire resort. Here is the view straight out of our window, and I am going to go take a shower now because I am disgusting. I don't know if you can probably tell, just, but I'm gross, absolutely gross. I haven't showered in like 30 hours. It's disgusting. So we're going to be checking out all of the Survivor locations that are on this island, but I'm going to shower first and probably sleep first. And probably eat. We'll probably do it tomorrow because I'm pooped. I'm done. All right, come on. I want to test something. Here. I gotta test this. Okay. Okay. Old Spice, count your fucking days. Not even close. Alright, so it's a beautiful morning here in Fiji. We're right outside of our room, and if you look at these islands over there, so this island is one of the Survivor camps where they live. You may recognize it. I feel like there are a lot of shots of that in Survivor. That one right there is where another camp is, and then that one in the back. So not the one in the front, the one in the back, that's where the third is. So pretty wild. Right outside of our hotel room, we can just see those 3 islands. Alright, so today we are going to be exploring the west side of Mana Island. That is where Tribal Council is, that is where the Survivor Sanctuary is, and that's where a lot of the beach challenges are. So it's the prettier side of the island, so let's see what we can find. Alright, who wants to hear a little story? So, obviously before we got here, me and my girlfriend, we mapped out the whole thing. We looked at Google Maps, Google Earth, we looked at a bunch of pictures, we found where everything is. Mana Island is not very big, like the whole thing I think is less than a square mile. So we're like, oh, all of the challenges are like around the outside and surrounded by beach. So you just walk around the beach, you find the trail, you follow the trail, and there's the challenge clearing. So we set off down the beach. There's a little bit of rocky area, but once you get past that rocky area, there's more beach, and we're like down on that beach. That's where most of the stuff is. We'll just head that way, and we'll be fine. We'll be fine. So we walk that way. We get over the rocks. I probably put in a little montage of me walking on the rocks. I don't know. I haven't edited this yet. But then we get to the next beach, and we're like, straight shot from here. We got it. And we're walking down the beach, and out of the woods, as we're walking down, just pop these 3 dogs, and we know there are stray dogs on the island. At the resort, we've seen a bunch of stray dogs. They just walk around. They don't bother people much. They're just chilling. So they're walking towards us, and we're like, all right, whatever. And they're whining, like, oh, they probably want us to feed them or something. I'm sure people feed the stray dogs here all the time. So they're walking up to us, and then all of a sudden, the whining turns into barking and into growling. So now we have 3 dogs running up to us, barking and growling. So we take off into the water, right, because we're along the beach. We're like, where else can we go? We take off into the water. I fall down. I scrape my knee on a rock that's there. My wallet's soaked. My phone is soaked. We're still trying to get away from these dogs, which are barking and growling at us. So eventually, we just get deep into the water. Thank God the dogs don't follow us into the water. If they wanted to, they absolutely could have followed us, and they probably would have been able to attack us, which would not have been great. So we're in the water, and we just stay in the water all the way back to the rocky area and back to the beach. Now we're back in our room licking our wounds. So that was an interesting experience. I think what we're going to do now, I'm going to let my phone dry. Hopefully there's no serious damage. Seems to be working fine right now. We might just chill for a little bit, maybe hang out by the safe beach with no stray dogs. And figure out another plan to get to the other side of the island. What we're probably going to end up doing, we can rent some kayaks from the resort. We're probably going to rent a kayak and just kayak past where the dogs were and just pull right up to the survivor locations, go hang out for a little bit, take some pictures, get back in the kayak, go to the next one, and so on. So it's a bit safer than just walking on the beach where apparently you could get attacked by a dog. So... yeah. Alright, so after yesterday's dog fiasco, we did a little bit more digging, and it turns out we are idiots. So apparently there is a path straight from the resort to the West Beach where all of the stuff that we want to see is located. We just thought, oh, we're on the North Beach, we'll walk around the beach until we get there. There's an easier way. Of course there was. So that's what we're doing today. See what we can find. Survivor challenge spotted. Our first signs of Survivor. Let's get a closer look. Alright, so it looks like we got some platforms, maybe like those platforms that you jump off over the water to like grab a key or something, and we got some of those 3-tiered balance beams right there. Definitely left over from 50, you can tell by the color scheme. I think we already had a pretty good idea of what colors the fans voted for, but if there was any doubt, here they are. So that challenge that we just passed and all of these shipping containers are on the path to the West Beach where a lot of the challenge locations are. So I'm not going to obviously open any of this stuff. My guess would be if we did crack open any of these shipping containers, there'd be a lot of Survivor stuff inside of them, which is pretty cool to think about. So over here in the distance, we got some kind of nets. Let's see if we can get a closer look and figure out exactly what these would be used for. So if you look really closely behind those nets there, you can kind of make out it looks like those balls that they used to have Survivor contestants roll around in. Then you had to like stand upright and do a puzzle while your tribe was blindfolded. On that side of that shed over there, it looked like we have some kind of colored poles. So my guess would be this whole shed filled with Survivor Challenge equipment. So if you look underneath the shed through the fence there, it looks like there's some more stuff back there that I can't really make out. So my guess would be that they probably store some stuff on the other side of this shed as well. But there is a fence there, and I don't feel like trespassing because that's a crime. So this is kind of, this is going to be the best view that we're going to get. Looks like over here, we've just got some scraps of leftover wood from challenges that they've taken apart. My guess would be they're probably going to burn that at some point, but they were definitely used for something Survivor related because I don't think the resort would just have painted logs lying around. Alright, so remember earlier when I said that I wasn't going to go on the other side of that fence because I didn't want to trespass to see the rest of the challenge stuff? Well, we got to the end of the path we were walking on, and there's a path that goes back the other direction, and normally on this island they're pretty good about putting up signs saying where you can and can't go because they know there are a lot of tourists around here. And there were no signs or fences or anything saying we couldn't go down this path. So we're down this path right now, and I'm really hoping it leads to the other side of that thing, so it'd be so cool to be able to get a better view at a lot of the challenge stuff. So if you see the challenge stuff at the end of this clip, then we were right. If this clip ends with me being disappointed in another clip, then I was wrong. I believe we have found the Survivor Holy Grail. So this is the other side of that shed that we were looking at before. So we've got some kind of cubes right there. Looks like we got a whole bunch of like rings and stuff over there. That's definitely one of those rings that they throw on the post in one of the challenges. We got some buoys. Looks like we've got some chests over here. That's interesting. I don't know what's up with that. Some pots, some colored stuff. So most of this stuff is so jumbled and hastily thrown away all over the place so that the survivor crew presumably could get off the island and go home, that I can't really make out any pieces of identifiable challenges. But if there's anything that you see here that you identify as a piece of a specific challenge, definitely let me know in the comments below. So I'm a bit curious. I mean, I know that ring, I know what that's for, but everything else is kind of a mystery to me. We've got some cool looking rocks over here that I think are part of the tribal council set, which is pretty neat. If you see way in the back here, we've got an interesting looking statue. Could be the immunity idol for tribe immunity for either 49 or 50. If we continue further down the path, it looks like there's some more stuff over here. Let's see if there's anything we can make out as part of a specific challenge here. All right, so we've got some ladders here. These are definitely from season 50. They're the season 50 colors. They're probably a part of that. On the other side, we saw the platforms that you would jump off of to grab the keys. This is probably what you climb up to get on top of those platforms. We've got some very large balls over here. Again, season 50 color. My guess would be, as part of a challenge, you have to like roll these down some kind of long path. I feel like we've seen some challenges like that before. If we look in the back here, looks like we got some kind of pyramids. My girlfriend pointed out that could be those things that you put in the water and you have to stand on them and hold your balance, so it could be a part of that challenge. Again, if there's anything that you think you can identify here that I'm missing, let me know in the comments down below. All right, so I think that's about all we're gonna find of leftover challenge pieces. I say that's all that we're gonna find, like that was underwhelming. That was fantastic. I think that looking at the locations of the challenges is gonna be a bit underwhelming compared to that, but incredible finds already. This is amazing. All right, so this is Sunset Beach. You may recognize that this is one of the locations for one of the ocean challenges. So they leave the stage set up here, but everything else they take down. So it's still pretty cool to think about Jeff Probst stood where I'm standing right now. And over here we have the famed Sandra sit-out bench. Pretty cool. Definitely seen shots of survivors walking by in this exact area. All right, so we found a survivor location. It looks like not only is it still set up, but there are people here doing something. Not sure if we should walk up and say hi or what. So we looked in briefly. We didn't want to disturb those people. We saw some study abroad signs, and I heard a lot of Australian accents. So I'm guessing those are college students from some Australian university. The challenge itself are the Survivor 50 colors, so I don't know if that's part of an actual Survivor challenge that they left up that they're using, or if they took scraps from Survivor to build their own challenge or what. But we're gonna go explore some more and then come back later and see if maybe they're gone so we can get in there, because they had cameras and stuff and I didn't want to disturb them. All right, so right now this place probably doesn't look like a whole lot, but let's follow this path here, because this is actually one of the most important places in Survivor. Ladies and gentlemen, you are looking at the remnants of Tribal Council. So there's really not a whole lot left over. They did a pretty good job of taking it down. There's an interesting looking wheel over there, but otherwise it kind of just looks like an empty field. Now, we did talk to someone at the resort. Obviously the resort workers are here while they're filming, and he said that for Survivor Season 50 he did see Tribal Council, and he saw something shaped like a pyramid on top of it, which is pretty interesting. So make sure you're watching for that when you watch season 50. So we're back at this Survivor Challenge. It looks like those people that were here before have cleared out, which is perfect for us. So if we look, this is what it is looking like. If I had to guess, I'd say that this is not a Survivor Challenge that they actually ran on season 50. It doesn't look complicated enough to me. But we definitely saw what I'm assuming were those college students running this course. So that was pretty cool to witness. So this is right next to this challenge location. And the way that that tree is put on there was definitely done by a human. So I'm wondering if that little like inlet there, they set up like a tent for the crew to like put the cameras and like a water cooler and stuff like that. Maybe medical hangs out there in case they're needed. But they definitely use that for something. There's no way that that happened by accident. Here's my impression of me on Survivor. Matt is making quick work of this obstacle course. Oh, thanks, Jeff. Matt is the most talented and handsome survivor this show has ever seen. Oh, Jeff, you're too much. All right, so today was a very productive day. We saw a lot of really, really cool stuff. The sun is starting to set, so we're gonna head back. We might head back out tomorrow and see if we can find some other cool Survivor-related stuff. All right, so it looks like they left a nice little arrow for us pointing to this next location. How convenient. I guess that's in case the crew ever forgets where they're going. But you can see right in here, we got a little bit of a challenge clearing. Doesn't really look like the path is that carved out, so we're gonna get in there and get a closer look. All right, so we've come around to the other side of this challenge here. I'm not really sure what is typically filmed in this location, like what challenge. My best guess, just based off of this view here, would be the Survivor auction. Like I can see them setting up benches in that area over there and having the survivors sit there, and then having Jeff right here with a little auction table set up. Not sure if that's exactly what this is, but it's a rather small arena, so I can't really think of what else this would be used for. So if you know, then let me know in the comments. We got a little lizard on the platform here, like he's trying to participate in the challenge. You need to dig deep, lizard. Dig deep. All right, coming up on another location right here. Can you guess what this is? Can you figure it out? You recognize it? It's a little hard to recognize in its current state, but this is where the Survivor Sanctuary is. This right here is where good things happen. Just like with Tribal Council, they've completely taken everything down. So it's not all that impressive. It kind of just looks like an open bit of sand. But right here is where a lot of the rewards of Survivor take place. And if you look to your left over here, some may say that's a piece of trash. I say it's an indication that Pepsi is one of the rewards in Survivor Season 50. Mark my words. Walking along, looks like we got another big clearing for one of the beach challenges. So let's head on up here and get a nice view of that. Off to the side of this challenge over here, we got some scraps that looks like could be left over from whatever challenge was here. Just looks like pieces of wood, nothing that would really help us identify what challenge was here, but you think you can piece it together. As always, let me know in the comments. I feel like this is a backdrop we've definitely seen before. My best guess, maybe they have like the giant Survivor totem poles that you gotta hang on up here, or the challenge where you have to hold onto the bucket and keep it from dropping. One of those two, perhaps. Again, if you have any ideas what's filmed here, let me know. So we know that the Survivor Challenge that's on a hill that's overlooking the ocean is up there somewhere. But what we don't know is how we're supposed to get up there. So there was a path right next to it that we thought was the way up, but we walked in there and within a few feet it turned out to be a dead end. So we're gonna keep looking for that path, but I unfortunately think we're not going to be able to find it, which sucks because I feel like that's definitely the challenge that has the best view. All right, so we were not able to find the path up to the top of the mountain for the challenge where they normally do the final four. But even though we didn't find that, I still feel like we found a good amount of Survivor stuff. We also missed a few challenge locations that were in the jungle, and I don't think we're going to make an effort to go see those, mostly because they're on the east side of the island, which is the part that's not owned by the resort. So there are no paths or anything that you can just walk down to get there. And we thought about taking a kayak, but you're not allowed to take the kayaks past a certain point, probably past whatever part is resort property. So since there's no really easy way to get to those, we're not going to go see those. There were a lot of things that I had on my bucket list to do while we're in Fiji, and getting lost in a Fijian jungle is definitely not one of them. So I think that's about it for our Survivor journey in Fiji. Had a lot of fun. There were definitely things that we did that I didn't film just because I didn't want to have my face in a phone the entire trip. Certainly the adventure of a lifetime. I would highly recommend, if you're interested in Survivor and interested in taking a vacation to Fiji, coming to Mana Island. It was an absolute blast. Thank you everybody for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. And if you work at CVS, give me a call. See you next time.